So right now I have this part, and I'll just give myself a layer above it. Okay, so this is just a blank layer, and I'm just going to take, I have light blue, I'm just going to take like a gray color and a brush, just to show it to you, and increase the brush, and change the opacity a little bit. So now when I paint over this, you can kind of see that it's covering that area. I'm just going to undo it. Before I start to do that, I'm going to command and click on the thumbnail that's here, and now I can shade within that piece. Okay, and I can hide, Command H to hide the extras, which is the dotted line in the ruler guides. So now I'm able to shade this part. So this is just a layer above it. The only thing I'm going to do is change the kind right here. You have all these different, oops, right here, and just change it to multiply. So it's letting the color show through, but I'm able to paint right over the top of this. When you watch this? Oh dear. So that gives me that part. So it's kind of shaded. It's just a layer above it. Okay. I'm going to do the same with the one on the right. This is the right layer. There's the layer. Click on a new one. It's going to right above this. I can just put shade for the right. Just if I need a little bit of a highlight. I have the brush. Deselect everything. And you notice it's painting all over the place. So I just want to make sure I select the thumbnail of the layer with the command key. It makes that selection. I'm still on the shading layer. And now I can just put a little bit of a tone. And what happens, just like in the drawings, the blue sky has the white edge, so I probably don't need a tone up there. But when it gets down to here, where the white is against it, I could probably sneak in a little bit of the shadow there. Again, under the mode, I want multiply, which allows the foreground and background colors, lets the background colors show up a little bit more. So now I have that part in there. And I can go to either one of these because this is just the selection. I just have to keep it selected. You can always save these selections to keep loading them and deselect that part. Now on a new layer above this, I'm going to click on this and call it corner edge. And what this is going to do is when the cardboard has a little bit of a fold to it, there's a little bit of a highlight. So I'm going to keep the brush, but I'm just going to reduce it down. I'm going to hit the default so it's black, but I'm going to swap it so that it's white. And I'm going to put it at about 100%. So now that's the line I want to get. I don't want it that thick, but I do just want a straight line. So I click once there, hold the shift key down and click down at the bottom here. And that gives me the edge of that cardboard where it bends and kind of has a highlight to it. The only thing is that when you look at something like that, it looks artificial because it's all the same, so it's never usually that direction. So I'm going to put a layer mask down at the bottom, right above it, okay, and increase the brush size, change the opacity of the brush, and go back to the default color of this one. Okay, so now when I paint over this, I'm putting it on a layer mask, and I'm taking it away a little bit. And since it's on a softness, I may leave some of the highlight in the beginning, but just kind of minimize it down just a little bit. Because when you look at the edges, it has a little more variation as it goes from top to bottom. If I want to switch this and bring more light to it, just swap the color. And now white is the masked color that allows it to show up a little bit. And there you have a little bit more of a three-dimensional reflection to it. Anything else we'll cover is just going to have a little bit of a background, maybe an outer glow to it, something like that. You take a look down here at the shadowing. So I was just going to go down to, here's the layer that has the right-hand side, here's the left-hand side, and just put a new layer right underneath that, and just call this shadow, and do the same type of thing. Here it is, nothing selected, deselect it, have the default color, and just kind of minimize this down. So I'm just going to click right, the diameter is right in the middle, and I'm just going to shift key to keep a straight line going back and forth to build that part up. If it did have a shadow, it would be back into here. So I'm going to take the polygon tool, give it a little bit of a feather, about 10 pixels, and just come straight back. And it's behind everything, so it won't be seen too much. Okay, can hide that edge, Command H, and just take the brush, make it a little bit bigger, and just kind of draw it right in there and darken some of it as it goes. So it gives me a little bit of a shadow as the reflection, as this part. I can still do the same thing. Here's for the shading on the right of it. Here's this highlighting. You know, I can still work on this layer, make it smaller, and go back to the white foreground and do the same thing on this side. Maybe it's going to have a little bit of an edge to that part. Okay, and I can take some of it off by swapping this color and using it as a layer mask to kind of tone some of that down. Okay, so see what you can try with that. Just kind of giving you a little bit of the edges, the shading, and placing it onto that piece.